album release day has been pretty kind to the old school hip hop heads. Just a year after this first entry with King's Disease, it looks like Nasty Nas is back, giving us a sequel just a year later. He's got some pretty good A-lister friends on here too, like Boogie with the Hoodie, and managing to snag a collab with Lauryn Hill, which is pretty much a miracle given her lack of output. Though a lot of people are going to be talking about this record, there's something pretty interesting concerning the one Shady rapper that Nas chose to work with on here. Outside of his usual collabs, Nas got Eminem to hop on the track. EPMD 2, complete with EPMD as well along for the ride. It's not like M wasn't up to it or anything, being pretty busy himself in between his collabs with Kid Cudi and his expanded edition of music, To Be Murdered By. It wouldn't be shocking if Slim had a surprise album coming out soon. You can say they're getting together for the craft and all, but are we forgetting the hip-hop king of New York City that M has worked with in the past? Even though we normally think of M and Dre being inseparable in the hip-hop sphere, M's time working with Jay Z has got to look weird now that he's collaborating with his competition. Slim has been known to do whatever the hell he wants, but just what would Hov think about all this? Let's not forget that M's verse on Renegade off of the Blueprint may have been what put him on to the upper half of the rap goats. As much as Hov may have been praising M's performance back in the day, it might have been the equivalent to Kendrick's Control verse of Big Sean's song. Sure, it's great, but you might want to be paying attention to what your partner here has coming down the line. Granted, Jay Z's beef with Nas hasn't always been out for blood or anything. While they all talk about the day that Nas split with Jay during a recording session, there's always more to it than that. This is the kind of thing that has gone down in hip-hop lore with both men kind of being quiet about their beef up until the present day. They may not be strictly enemies anymore, but they are far from friends. So, what would Jay feel about someone who he had helped come up in the game actually making waves with his competition? For all of his riches, Jay's rap empire feels like hip-hop mafia on the worst of days. If you're the family, you're protected. If you're not, you got a target on your back. It's not like Jay doesn't have the background to back it up, with most of his time being spent running around as a drug dealer and being the protege of Biggie Smalls before he hit it big. There were even bits and pieces with Nas calling Jay out for dissing Big, Tupac, and DMX all in one go at a party from back in the day. So it's clear that something's going on here. We just have to wait until the first person strikes. Since Nas was able to pull M, it's clear he's probably the one spoiling for a fight, which makes Jay's silence so much more interesting. Jay was never one to mince words. If he didn't like you, he was gonna let you know about it, and often on the biggest stage he knew how. So why hasn't he said anything yet? Well, maybe it's because he was learning from his mistakes. After all, he already got into trouble back in the day for his track Super Ugly, to the point where his actual mother stepped in and asked him to apologize to Nas directly. Say what you want about the gangster background, once your mother gets on you about it, you know you royally screwed up. But that was 2 decades ago at this point. Jay is clearly a different man than he was back in the day, or is he? From the sounds of his past few records, it's not like he's lost any of his aggression or anything. I mean, you've all heard on to the next one. It's clear that our boy still knows how to go in on somebody taking shots at him. So why aren't we seeing that now? Well, maybe it's because Jay has a bit more venom of his own to spit. You ever notice that Jay's output has been pretty quiet since 444? Granted, the man did launch a supergroup with his wife on the Carter's first album, but other than that, there hasn't been too much else coming down the pipeline. Jay might not be saying anything because he's preparing to go to war. Hell, if what Nas says is true and he dunked on rappers that he respected like Biggie, imagine what he's like now that he's coming for a rapper that he's actually had beef with in the past. Since it's with Eminem though, you have to be wondering what Shady's thinking in all this. Yeah, M has the right to do whatever he wants at this point, but why put yourself right in the middle of the firing line between a beef like this? Especially considering how much you may have fallen off on Revival, you don't try to get back in the game by immediately getting people on your bad side. Then again, M has always been making career moves specifically to piss the world off, so why should this one be any different? The man's a troll in the truest sense of the word, so it's nice that he's at least sticking to the formula he's known for. Then again, it all could be water under the bridge at this point, considering all 3 of these men are legends in the rap industry. It's hard to think that they're still trying to stir up controversy just for the streaming numbers. The stands of every one of these men are going to be listening to their records on the first day of release anyway, so it's not like they're hurting. And if you haven't heard, Nas and Jay Z have at least found ways to be nice with one another before. This isn't even the first time one of their mutual friends has collaborated with both of them. Case in point, Kanye. Yeah. Anyone remember We Major from back in the day, with Nas pulling out one of the greatest later period verses? You have that song on the exact same record as a remix of Diamonds from Sierra Leone, with Hov making Ye's beat really come to life. It's not like they haven't been able to get along before, so who's to say they can't do it again? At this point, the fire's still burning, since Nas has refused to shut up about Jay having a bit of an ego on him. Taking one of his friends and doing a collab with him just feels like he's trying to get a rise out of him, but who knows though. Maybe this is just Jay trying to take the high road instead, or maybe he's just waiting for the right moment to break all hell loose. But ever since his fallout from his cheating incident on Lemonade, Jay's been doing whatever he can to take the high road. I mean, half of 444 was him apologizing to Beyonce for how he wronged her, but the other half is still great snippets of him discussing how much he's messed up in the past. Considering how much dirt he's thrown around back in the day, Jay seems to be in a place now where he's more concerned with preserving his legacy rather than carrying on the negativity. It's not like this kind of move doesn't get a rise out of him though. I mean, I got a feeling you're probably gonna see Jay at least say something or drop an album without warning, blowing Nas out the water. Because that's what beefs do. You might find ways to make amends from time to time, but there's that little bit of resentment to keep us on edge whenever these two share a stage together or are asked about their fellow rappers. You know what we need? We need a way to settle this once and for all. An actual collab between Nas and Jay. And I'm not talking about Nas just bailing on a record session like he did back in the day. We're talking about the real stuff with a whole record of Jay and Nas trading bars back and forth, letting the fans decide who won out in the end. Is it a pipe dream? Yes. Will it never happen? Not in a million years. But it would probably be the closest thing that we get to an actual duel between rappers instead of a cage match style. For now though, it looks like both men are going to retreat into their corners. Jay is going to remain the brooding monster. Nas is going to be the rabbit dog let loose from his cage. And M's going to go back to hopefully giving us something great on his next album. Because this is the kind of beef that made hip-hop heads lose their minds back in the day, before it got down to actual crimes being committed with the murder of X and whatever's going on with Young Gene Ace. We had these guys having a turf war with their bars, staking their claims as the kings of hip-hop and letting the fans decide who comes out on top. Whereas a lot of hip-hop collabs tend to be one rapper getting outclassed by the other in every sense of the word, this could be the last great hip-hop beef where the opponents are evenly matched. The David and Goliath story has been played out, right? It's time for the gods to go to war and see who's the real king to New York's hip-hop throne. Then again, we'll have to see how it plays out. What do you guys think about the beef between Nas and Jay Z? Do you think Nas is just trying to get a rise out of him, or is Jay trying to keep the peace and not put a lyrical hit order on this man's head? Don't forget to leave a comment down below and let us know. Other than that, be sure to like and subscribe right here at RIZZLE so you don't miss out on the latest news coming down the pipeline. Have a great day, and as always, keep it RIZZLE.